Welcome to Mystical Sedona. For the next hour, we're going to be exploring the mysteries, the metaphysical, and the paranormal activity here in Sedona, the spirituality capital of the country. We are going to illuminate the truth, focus on those who are doing great things with great intentions. And as you can tell by our unusual set today with the wonderful sparkling lights, it's all decorated for Halloween here at Relics Restaurant. They're having their big Halloween party. So we thought we'd talk just a moment about that. Being Halloween, all of us at Sedona Soul Sisters are psychic mediums, and we thought this was a good time to remind you to be extra safe if you decide to do something to celebrate that might open that thin veil between the worlds, between third dimension and other dimensions. And when you start bringing out things like a Ouija board or something like that, we just ask that you think twice about that. Without a whole lot of spiritual protection ahead of it, you open a window to entities you might not want joining you. So if you decide you must do something like that to celebrate, then we just ask that you remember to be extra careful and do a lot of spiritual protection and be specific about who you want to communicate with. Our co-host is Anita Owen of Sedona UFO and Vortex Tours. Welcome back, Anita.
Thank you. We're going to be looking at some amazing photos of orbs, talking about the dimensional veil being thin. That's what orbs are. They are multi-dimensional beings that come through into our dimension, just kind of a little glimpse of them. So we're going to be looking at some amazing photos today in the paranormal section of the show.
That'll be fun. What I want to do is go to a quick break right now, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Mystical Sedona. Now it's time for our Astrology Fast Blast with Sondraya of InfluencerStars.com. Welcome, Sondraya.
Yes, thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Excited to hear what you have to say today.
Well, you know, this is Scorpio time, and Scorpio time is prime time for slaying the dragons, for cutting loose anything that's in your psyche that is preventing you from manifesting that which you wish to manifest. And this is a great time, at the time of Scorpio, this is not a time you want to walk through the land of Scorpio by yourself. Tune in to your inner guru, tune in to the inner warrior, and walk with them. Because this is the time when the veils between the worlds are very thin. And this is a time when you want to have counsel and guidance as you are dealing with, shall we say, the dragons in your own mind, that which is preventing you from going your next step. Now, those of us on a spiritual path, this is a fantastic time. If you're not on a spiritual path, I would say pray anyway, because right now, we're under, there's many influences that are happening now. And what I want to talk to you about is what is called a Mars squared Uranus. And it's going to be exact tomorrow, but it's in the air now, the frequencies. And Mars and Uranus, just imagine that here Mars represents, you know, actions and being very fast and full of energy and vitality. And Uranus ultimately has to do with disruptions. Now, the disruptions of Uranus are very purposeful on that side. Uranus is invested in us reaching the highest of our capacity. Uranus doesn't give a darn about our pain or our discomforts, but if we find ourselves off track and we're not aligned with our own integrity, it can be very shocking the way Uranus is likely to put us back into, back on the beam, so to speak. So this is a time you really want to listen to your inner director, to your intuition, and follow your intuition. If you don't, it could be costly. I'm going to give you an example. This is the time you want to listen to your own inner authority, not any authority outside of you. I had a very competent electrician come to my house to do some work, and after he left, it didn't feel right. And I tuned in, and there was a certain plug that I knew he needed to have looked at. And so I stood up for myself. I called him back and said, don't you dare charge me, but he needs to come back and look at it. And he came back and looked at it. And I tell you, if I hadn't have called him, my house would likely have caught on fire come tomorrow, because that plug was so bad and it had loose wires and everything else. So listen to your intuition as time goes on. And also, if you do experience some disruption or another, I suggest that you say, show me where the gift is in this. Because Uranus has a history. Very often the packaging is very surreal looking. Sometimes it looks like the universe is really out to get you. So before you start complaining, just say, show me where the gift is in this. And you may just be surprised what you're shown. Now, on the drawing board, we have other things that are going on. We have Venus squaring Neptune. Now, Neptune is a planet that is full of idealism and romanticism, and Neptune ultimately is that part of us that wants to be in union with the divine. So there's a tendency to have very high ideals. So try to be more grounded and practical about it, because sometimes it can interfere in the romance department. If you're expecting more than your lover or your partner or whatever can give you, because you've got this big idealistic idea of what you should be receiving. I think I need to slow down. I'm feeling myself kind of getting strung along with that electrical energy of that Mars-Uranus, and feeling kind of like I'm galloping along. So, and that's reminding me to say that there are so many contacts that are happening now that are aligned with the shift that we're in, and that are meant to elevate us. But if we don't ground and bring things down to a practical level, and to be able to test the ideas that come to us, the realizations, and my goodness, do you have any questions at this point?
I want to make a comment to you that as you're talking about this finding the gift
Yes.
in the moment, is like that has been a recurring theme, particularly over the last week, and even in a reading I did last night with a client, where they're telling me about these terrible things that have happened, and I'm saying, what did you learn out of that? What is the gift that came out of that? And there was stunned silence, and he was talking about, I need to look at that. I said, you really do. Otherwise, you stay in the victim mentality, you stay in the fear energy, and so I think that's huge right now. I'm hearing it's increasing and increasing. I can't be the only person out there doing readings that's hearing this. So it's good to hear that there's something astrological to explain this
Yes.
increase in people feeling pressurized situations, I should say.
Yes, Because there are no bad planets. Every single aspect or everything that's happening in our lives is happening for a reason. And sometimes those reasons are hidden. And we don't really know that it'll look like, in one case, all of my money was stolen from me. And it looked like it was a bad thing. But I knew Uranus was around. So I screamed and yelled, okay, show me where the gift is in this and show it to me now. Well, it turned out that by me making that claim, it turned around, another person ended up giving me back the exact amount of money that was taken, and everything in the life shifted so much that I didn't do what I was planning to do, and it more than likely was that what I was planning to do was not the best for me. And making the new decisions based on that bit of drama and the exhilaration of how that whole drama turned around and led me to a beautiful Franciscan monastery with free rent and ultimately living my dream life. So we don't know what's lurking behind what appears to be what we label negativity. And I do believe that's why we are told, do not judge, because we're only seeing with these three-dimensional eyes. And there's so much more that's going on around us than, and as you know, than what we can see.
Well, we were talking before the show today about astrology, and it was interesting. We were talking about don't be too specific about what you ask for or what you want, because you don't know what's good for you or best for you.
That's right.
And we're out of time, and thank you so much, Sondraya.
Thank you.
As always, it's a pleasure.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back here to Mystical Sedona. Welcome back to Mystical Sedona. Our guest today is Reverend Barbie Edwards of Therapy Harps, and she's going to entrance you with some wonderful zither playing and talk about the importance of sound. Welcome, Reverend Barbie. Zither's out of your car, and you were saying that this is all about angels, and I'm an angel communicator, so I loved it when you said that. How is this all about angels?
Well, sorry, I will stop. The producer's letting me know I need to stop. A little humor goes a long way. Well, I meditated for 6 months, and I asked for my perfect instrument to come to me. And because I was already singing and had been for a long time. And as I continued to meditate, I had a vision of these come to me. And then I finally saw one. And King David in the Bible talks about bring your harps and your zithers and your drums. And so we know that it did go back that far. And you can really understand why when you feel the frequency as it changes you just by strumming across the strings. So I meditated, and then when I saw one, I sat down and started to play it as if I had always played it, because I was playing with 3 other people, And it wasn't that I was such a musician, it's just that I'd had such a long lineage with the harps. And so I sat down and I was doing this and I was doing that and I was doing the other. And after about 20 minutes, the guy that had created the one for himself, I said, "Can I please have my harp back?" And I said, "Yeah, but how do I get one?" Because see, I'd been meditating for 6 months to bring this into my life because I knew that there was a grand scheme much bigger than my own that was wanting to be played out. And
Absolutely.
so if you want me to talk about that for a minute, I'll tell you more about that.
Please do.
The hearts came in, and very quickly I had, actually the same day, a young man came into my life that played the guitar, classical guitar, and is on one of our CDs called Sedona Sounds. And with him, within 2 months, came a silver flutist that was just profoundly beautiful with the harps. It was just like we were reading each other's minds. I would be singing a note, and he would come in on that note, so you could hardly tell where my voice ended and where he began. I then came to travel to go to the Center for the Angels. And at the Center for the Angels, Marcy White said one day, "Barbie, my arm's hurting. Do you think you could do anything with the harps?" Because I didn't know about their ability to heal. I only knew that it was really wonderful to play and I didn't want to stop. So that then transferred over as we put the harp on somebody's body. In fact, I might like to do that today since we have a little more time to let you experience it so you'll understand what I'm talking about. So what happened was I played for 7 to 10 minutes, and what happened was that her arm ceased to hurt. She said, "My arm doesn't hurt anymore." And her husband George was standing right there, and he said, not to be outdone, he said, "Well, my back hurts." So he lay down, and I put the harp on his back. In less than 10 minutes, his back stopped hurting. And it was a long-standing chronic pain that he had. So that just led me to go, oh my goodness, what is this really about? So I started to do psychic fairs and shows around the country with Whole Life Expo. And I kept getting invitations because people love the harps. And I began to experience firsthand all the healing the harps that were bringing in, because I was learning through experience instead of from book knowledge. In fact, there was a lady named Claire in Dallas that had a radio show, and she said the proof is in the pudding. And she was right, because you don't need to know anything to experience the healing power, because it's going directly into your subconscious, past your conscious brain, and that allows it to do magical things. It starts dissolving the stress in the emotional body. It starts calming the nervous system down. When it sits across the body, which I'd love to do for you, it stimulates the thymus, the immune system, and it really starts balancing the auric field. And not only is it balancing the auric field, what it's doing, it's balancing the two sides of the brain. So you may start out in the left brain, which is, beta consciousness. But then as you strum across the strings, within 3 to 5 minutes, people start to go into their brain. And then what happens is the two sides of the brain integrate. And this brings you into whole brain consciousness. And in that frame of mind, you make such better decisions. So when people buy these harps and use them on a daily basis for themselves, either at the beginning of their day or at the end of their day, they're clearing themselves of all the debris. They're balancing their whole field. They're helping their emotional body calm down, and for them to see things more objectively and from a larger perspective. So the harps have really taught me a lot. People with chronic pain find if they play them, they don't have those pains as long as they play every day. And then there was Dr. Ronald Price from the Illinois University in Chicago. And he showed that when people played these harps, and they also played big stand-up harps, they found that stroke victims got use of their arms back, or whatever part of their body was causing them problems. And he also found it helped with chronic pain, and it got functions. He was limping and not being able to talk very well. And so he went to the trouble to carry his 500-pound harp everywhere he went, so that each day he could strum it, because he was dragging his leg and not feeling very well. But the sound of the harp, that celestial sound, was really transforming his experience. And so he also talked about helping with ADD. And I had these precious little pictures of kids strumming the strings, and they love the harps, even from young babies. I mean, they're really attracted to them. And just seeing young 6-month-old babies reaching out is really amazing stuff. And then I had grandmothers who got a harp for their grandchildren because one was hyperactive. Well, in less than 20 minutes, the child calmed down and started playing the harp better than the grandmother. So there's a lot of magical things that sound therapy does. Would you like to experience the harps?
I would.
Do you need to change the mic? Okay. So what I'd like to do is put this harp on you.
Okay.
And then if they can get a shot, there's another harp over here, and it's called the Celestial. And what happens is this is called the Indian tuning. And what this does is balance the lower chakras into the heart, or they calms the nervous system. And so the whole body starts to relax. And then halfway through, I let you keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
And you stay in that really profound, relaxed state. I put the Celestial on your chest. And what that does is work with opening the heart and the upper chakras.
That sounds lovely.
I think we're going to have a good time.
Okay.
So there you go.
Do you need to hold it?
Yes, I do. So if you can angle it a little bit that way, since I normally sit in front, and I won't be able to do that this time. See, the point is that as much as possible, it normally connects with the body. Sound through a solid is 25 times more powerful than sound through the air. So hearing it from a distance is really nice, but feeling it on your body is when the healing becomes more powerful.
Makes sense.
So allow yourself to close your eyes. I feel myself sighing like I just did, that indicates usually that the other person is going into a deeper state of relaxation. So allow yourself to let your eyes stay closed, and I'll change the harps.
Well, that is powerful, and now I know where the angels come in. My master guide came in and was just talking to me on and on about that one. We'll be right back. Thank you for being on the show today. Welcome back to Mystical Sedona, and it's time for the Paranormal UFO Vortex section. Today, our co-host Anita Owens is focusing on orbs.
Oh, they're so amazing. I remember probably about 20 years ago, orbs came onto the scene, and people would be taking pictures, and it would just be like one. You know, it would be perfectly round and usually transparent. Well, today the orbs have shifted. There really is a thin veil now, and the orbs, I believe, are actually multidimensional beings. So we have entities, humanoids, whatever you want to call them. We have beings in all kinds of dimensions, and I believe that these are beings that are kind of like poking a hole in the veil, and they're very they're basically light beings. And what you're seeing is like literally they're poking a hole in the veil. They're looking into the third dimension because they're interested in what's going on here in the third dimension. They're interested in us and how we're growing and how we're evolving, if we are at all. and
There's days we question that.
And if they can help us, if they can heal us. I mean, we're not alone. We have these beautiful beings, spiritual, highly spiritual beings all around us, and they want us to know they're here, that they're healers and they're helpers, and they can help us manifest or create whatever world we want to create. It's up to us about what kind of world we want to create. And so they're all around us all the time. And so what we're seeing here on the screen is their energy fields. So they're light beings right here. I mean, they're all around. I call them dimensional travelers. And so I'm asking the travelers to come through for us. So here,
I want to say one thing about that, because I think off camera on a previous show you were telling us that your vision of this is like it's easier for these multidimensional beings to like cut a little slit and poke their face in, and that's
Exactly.
the orb we see. And I think that's fascinating, and I think that's true. Do you think that's why we're seeing more with faces in them?
we're seeing more and more. I believe that there's some type of shift happening. I know I read eyes as well, and I can see in the eyes are changing. I think the hybrids are coming in, and so I mean I think every other person is some type of a hybrid, and so I'm seeing that change in the eyes. But they're here to help us make that shift. I think that we're a growing spiritual community, and there's more than just us three-dimensional humans. You know, we're getting We're getting,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're connecting with higher beings. And so here I'm on a paranormal tour, as you can see, and I can see all of the travelers, as I call them, the orbs. I see them all around, so I tell the people where to point their camera so they can get pictures of this. Because I believe, and again, I've said this earlier, I believe we are disclosure. I do not believe that the government can ever do disclosure.
Or will.
Or will. I mean,
Ever.
yeah, exactly. It's just not possible. But we can do this. And I am allowed to take videos of the different UFOs and photos of these orbs and put it out there in the public by doing this TV show, by doing it on YouTube. I'm putting it out there because everybody wants us to grow. Even the government wants us to grow, but they cannot disclose. There are other, I don't know if call them aliens, whatever you want to call them. There are other beings. We're not alone. You know, there's a lot of beings, there are a lot of entities on this planet and on many other planets and in many other universes. And we're all supposed to be working together for evolution. You know, we are our own worst enemies as humans. We're not evolving. If you look from the dawn of time, since we've been on the planet, we've been in war. We've always been at war. And it's time for that to stop, and it's time for evolution to occur.
So Anita, so the veil is thinner and we're seeing more. Why are we seeing more orbs? Like why, do you think that they're doing? Like why such a big increase?
Well, I believe that they're healing us and they're healing the planet. We've done a lot of damage to the planet, and I think that they're
Second that.
here bringing their light, bringing their energy bodies here to heal the planet. If you think about it, I mean, everything is just kind of dying off, and not in a good way. Our oceans are, you know, everything is so polluted, and they're here to up the vibration. Is probably the best thing that I can say.
Is it like a rescue mission?
It is. So look at this orb right here. Look at that. It's a beautiful being. These are not, this is not dust particles. I've actually had people throw dust up in the air and take
looks
pictures,
different.
yeah, and take pictures of the dust, and you can tell it's dust. Dust does not appear as perfectly round, and if you were to zoom in on this right here, there looks like there's actually some type of geometry in there, you know?
What
So
strikes me is
I
it's
think
got its own light source, and that's important.
It's a life force. It absolutely is. And so they're all around us all the time. I can go out. This is the famous Bradshaw Ranch Gate, if everybody knows about
Do
Bradshaw.
not go in.
Yeah, do not enter. But they've taken on all types of colors as well. And so as we move through here, it just, you know, as I'm talking to them, they're interested. More and more come through because it's like, okay, there's somebody, they want us to know they're here. And so they get very excited when I'm talking to them, asking the dimensional travelers, please show up, please come through, let us take pictures of you. They want that to happen. And so they do. It just gets more and more all around us. The sky just fills up with these pictures. This is the famous orange glowing orb that actually Linda Bradshaw wrote a book about this. So this is the orb that when she would walk around Bradshaw Ranch at night, checking on the animals, this orb would follow her around right here.
It almost
This
looks
orb
like a
would-
balloon, doesn't it?
I
Almost
know.
a balloon shape.
It's always this shape. It has this flat edge and then the round right there. It's always the same shape. Every picture I get of the orange orb, but it talks. So these are beings that can talk. And so you can look into that. Linda Bradshaw wrote an entire book about just this orb. As she would walk around the ranch at night, checking on the animals, this orb would appear. Now, I also believe in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and they appear like this as well. So they don't very often appear as an actual Sasquatch in this dimension because we shoot them. And so, you know,
It deters them, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're not wanting to
Last time I
appear
did
as a
that, I got
Sasquatch.
shot.
But they are all around us, and they are highly spiritual beings, and I talk to them all the time. And
So-
they appear to me as multicolored orbs.
Does that orange orb, has it communicated with you, Anita?
It does.
What does it say?
So it's basically talking about, a lot of times it's talking about what's going on in Bradshaw Ranch. And so there's a lot of activity on Bradshaw Ranch, and it's not necessarily good. And so I don't want to talk about that because it's just something that...
Different topic.
topic. But it talks a lot about what's going on in Bradshaw. And it talks a lot about stargates and wormholes and how the multidimensional beings are using that. So here in Sedona, it's all a gigantic vortex. And the vortex energy is very real. We have ley lines, and when the ley lines cross, it creates a vortex. Well, these beings and UFOs, I believe that we are like a gas station for the UFOs, so that they run on energy, and that energy is connected to the ley lines on this planet. And so Sedona being such, we have like 7 major vortexes in 20 square miles. So this is a huge power point.
Huge gas station.
Yeah, exactly. And so all of these, you know, they're using the vortex. Actually, they can really easily create wormholes. And I've got pictures of wormholes and stargates. And other shows will be talking about wormholes and stargates. But they're able to use that, tap into the ley line energy here, the vortex energy, and they fill up. I believe that their propulsion system is connected with vortex sites. And so if you think about it, we have 108 vortexes on the planet, and most of the UFO activity you're going to find around those vortexes. So they know how to tap into that, I want to say spiritual technology. That's what it really is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so can these multidimensional beings. They travel through dimensions. So they're traveling in a wormhole or a stargate, and they poke through our dimension, and you can see their energy field. So you see this blue guy right here, this one right there, he is always connected with me. Whenever I'm talking to these dimensional travelers, look how many there is here. There's hundreds, if not 1,000 right here in just this one picture. This guy right here, he's from Sirius, and he's always talking to me. I call him Tim. His name is not really Tim, but that's just what he said. I'm gonna pick an American name I like, and I'm gonna call you Tim. And so he's always with me. When I tap into him, and I'm able to get UFOs to land. So he is a major influence on this planet and can bring in anything from the universe to land. Here again, right there, is the orange guy that's famous at Bradshaw.
It's so interesting that it's not round.
And look how it's all around the people. Think about this healing energy right here. Look at all of these orbs. These are all higher dimensional beings here for our spiritual healing, our emotional healing, spiritual clearing. That's what a vortex is all about, is clearing, getting us off the karmic cycle. And so we're very blessed to be here in Sedona, and we're very blessed by these dimensional travelers.
That's beautiful. Why do you think that orange orb is not round? Do you know? Is it really an orb if it's not round?
No, it's from a different dimension. So all of
Okay.
these orbs are, you know, they take on, like this has a little cut in it right there.
I
as you can
noticed
see.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, and he always appears like that. So they're just kind of like unique personalities.
Identifiers.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like with angels, I see them as a
Exactly.
different color. And
Right.
Thank you so much, Anita. This
Absolutely.
has been fascinating. I think we're going to have to address this again because I know you have others with faces in them.
I do.
So we'll have to
I have
cover
orbs
that.
with faces in them, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank Reverend Barbie Edwards of Therapy Harps for coming in. And I don't want to forget to say, when she was doing that healing on me, so many angels were coming in and surrounding. I was seeing them, and my master guide said, "You really needed this." So it was really pretty powerful. Mystical Sedona has a lot more to reveal to you, so come back next week. Our guest will be Bryce Calypso, who will be discussing mystical numerology and the meaning of 1111. Have a beautiful week.
Thank you.